Good evening and welcome to another edition of Upon Further Review, your number one source for all things Northeast Indiana football. Alongside Eric Dukevich, I'm the coach Shannon Griffith. We welcome you to this Wednesday night edition here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM, as well as all other media platforms that you may be enjoying by watching us or listening to us tonight. But we are surely in the throes of championship vibes as we head into the last 2 weeks of the season. And it all started with an elimination game this past Friday for a lot of area teams. But the more important one we had was Carroll versus Homestead out at Carroll High School for Rivalry Week.
Yeah.
And Carroll High School did something that I just didn't think or see coming in how they manhandled the Homestead Spartans, who were coming off a other dominant game that we had against Snider, 38-0. Gabe Freisinger played unbelievably on Friday night. 248 yards, 12 of 18, 2 touchdowns, hitting Jaden Van Pelt on a couple of those big bombs, one of 67 yards. Van Pelt, however, injured himself on making a miraculous catch later in the game that brought him out of the game, and he was on the sideline on crutches the second half. So we don't know the status of his situation. But, Eric, that game was a complete and utter domination and the best I've seen Carroll play offensively and defensively all year long.
Absolutely. I mean, this game was over really halfway through the first quarter. I mean, if you want to spot Homestead the entire first quarter and say it was over after the first, no, it was over after the first half of the first quarter.
Yeah, it was 21-0.
21-0. It got to 35 at halftime. So you start with a running clock. I mean, 2 weeks in a row, really, we saw Homestead do the running clock on Snider. First time Snider's ever had that situation. And then we see Carroll do the running clock on Homestead in back-to-back weeks on our Midwest Box Breaks Game of the Week. And it was just, wow. I mean, and it was a highlight fest for Carroll once again. Right. We talked about it, the high-powered offense of Carroll. They asserted themselves early, and then the defense, they never even remotely let Homestead in the game, partially because I think you and John Nolan talked about it on the broadcast. Homestead just didn't appear to be really into it. Like they were the week before and all throughout the season so far.
The script flipped on them.
Yeah.
It was like the script flipped on them from last Friday against Snider to this week against Carroll. We have known Carroll's had a very, very good defense all year. It was just a matter of time that the offense was going to need to get to the point where they could start hitting a little bit on all cylinders. And that happened Friday night. And I have to say, Gabe Freisinger has impressed me from the start of the year when we had him first week in the season and how he's played. And right now, he's got a hot hand. And it's good because you want to be peaking about this time. And I think Carroll and Northrop, for that matter, are both peaking at the right time because, oh, by the way, Northrop goes out and beats Snider. And Callison had 330 yards passing. I mean, it was just a night. The ball was flying through the air in two of the A division games. So it's been an unbelievable couple of weeks that we've seen this topsy-turvy conference race with teams that are all, I guess you have to say in some respects, the teams at the top, there's a lot of parity at the top of the Summit Athletic Conference.
Lots of parity. And on Friday night, it just coming from all sides and not even really in the SEC, not just the SEC, I should say, but all the some of the other conferences too, but in particular in the SEC. I mean, we saw the utter domination from Carroll over Homestead. Then we see Northrop's win over Snider, which by and large, you know, those of us who have covered and watched and followed and listened to high school football all season long knew this was the possibility coming into week 7, but just the the history that was made there at
Mhm.
Spooler Stadium, that was headline B. And then, just across the board, what we were seeing, and it was just a Blackhawk Christian, another one
Mhm.
getting a big win. We'll talk about that game later too, even on our show tonight. So it was just a wild night of high school football in particular, but ultimately it was foot on the gas pedal for the Carroll Chargers from the moment the ball kicked off, and it was utter domination. And I think that's where this Friday game becomes so interesting with Northrop, because there again, Northrop has never been in this situation before.
Correct.
Effectively playing. I mean, they've won SAC back in the 70s or whatever it was.
Yeah, right.
But they've never been in this situation where they are playing, basically for an SAC championship this weekend. There are games to be played after it. But ultimately, basically week 8, talking about Northrop Carroll week 8 game of the week is just something you've never heard of either. This is the season of somethings you've never heard of in the SAC.
Well, the thing you got to look at it from Northrop's perspective is, they're in the driver's seat. They control their own destiny, but for the next 2 weeks, it's essentially championship football for them for the next 2 weeks of the season. And this just happens to be the next championship game against Carroll this Friday night. And like we were talking there before, these two teams are peaking at the right time because of the way they're playing and how they've gone out and beat teams. And this is going to be an interesting couple of weeks because the dynamics are many. There's not sense of talking about all of them right now because the situation could change in a dime. But again, good high school football like we expect in Summit Athletic Conference. And it's good to see the parity where a team like Northrop and Coach Bowen, who's got to be the coach of the year, has gone through some rough times at Northrop after getting the job there. And now he's got his Bruins playing essentially for the championship for 2 straight weeks.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is a part of that, last Friday coming in, we saw 5 teams with 1 loss, 5 teams laying claim still that they could be the SAC champion and victory bell. Now that number has knocked down to 3. And this coming Friday, that number will dwindle down to basically 2, probably. There's all those subjunctive phrases in there from English class, probablys and coulds and all of that.
That's why we have to wait till this week is completely finished.
Definitely Northrop Carroll leading the way. But there's 3 schools that from the A division, all with 1 loss, that still have a claim really for the SAC championship. That comes down to Carroll, Northrop, and Bishop Dwenger. Carroll lost to Dwenger. Northrop beat Dwenger. So that's the common foe with the head-to-head scenarios. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes of it. And realistically, too, there's still 2 games to be played left. And there's a lot of ways that it can shake out. And we'll just see how that crosses the bridge. But that is definitely the big game of the week. And I think part of that was the way Northrop played and the way Carroll dominated. And not just on offense, Coach, but defense. 2 pick sixes for Carroll against Homestead on Friday night. And that just opened the floodgates, really. Yeah. And one of the key factors in that defense this past Friday was Lincoln Grabner from Carroll. And we're joined by him tonight right now here on Upon Further Review. We're going to bring him in as our guest tonight. And Lincoln, can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. First of all, wow. I mean, you were in the green room, the backstage area, hearing Coach and I talk about it. The utter domination. What was it on Friday night? You guys just came out of the gate swinging. I mean, my goodness, it was something really we hadn't even seen like that from Carroll, particularly against Homestead. What was it about Friday night that you guys just full throttle right out of the gate and it all clicked?
They're our rivals, so we always prepare extra heavy for them, and we stressed throughout the week that we need to force turnovers, be able to get those turnovers that can change the game, and we were able to accomplish that in the game. We ended up with 3 picks in total, 2 pick sixes, and I feel like that really gave us the edge on them.
Or you got You mentioned it, 3 interceptions as a team, 2 pick sixes. You had one of those, a big 70-yarder, the second one in the game, the second pick six. Just talk about that feeling, first of all. When you're a defensive back safety, when you see that ball and you grab it and it's green grass, for you as a safety, that was is that your first pick six?
Yeah.
What was that moment like for you? Running down the sideline, Neon Nation screaming their heads off against Homestead, green grass in front of you and taking it to the house.
It felt great. The adrenaline was just kind of there. I saw the ball in the air, got it, and I just saw blockers in front, and I just sprinted all the way down and scored.
Sure. Talk about this defense, and really, you looking at the SAC play, just 36 points allowed. That comes out to an average of 5.1 points per game in the SAC. You guys are giving up just 239 yards of offense against some really good teams in that A division in particular. What has been the strength of this defense this year? Even wins or losses. I mean, that Dwenger game was a nip and tuck game, big defense. You guys come out with the L on that, but ultimately the defense really looked good. What is it about this defense this year for the Carroll Chargers?
I honestly think it starts at the front line. Our D line is great at getting pressure and stopping the run. Our linebackers are great at filling their gaps. They do their job well. The D line allows us gets the pressure on the quarterback, and the quarterback throws it up. We're able to go make the play.
Hey, Link, we had your game on Friday night. Very impressive game where it seemed to me that your offense and defense both were in sync and playing complementary football, meaning if you got a big stop, the offense would come back and get a score, or get a score and turn around and your defense comes up with a big play like your pick six and the other pick six, because there was 2 in this game. And that is very rarely done. I mean, that has to be that may be a Carroll record. I don't know, for 2 pick sixes in a game. But overall, now that you're past your rival and really handled them better than I think anybody would have expected in that ball game. Now you're going to go up against one of the hottest quarterbacks probably in the SAC, who threw for 330 yards, and he's got 2 Power 4 wide receivers in Guilford and Whale. What is your guys' initial impressions of Northrop? Have you started looking at them, or where are you at in your preparation for them?
Obviously, we've been watching film on them. We know that they have the players that can go make the plays. Throughout the week, we're going to be able to just work on our weaknesses and be able to prep for them in that way.
Do you really think this is a ball game that your defensive line has to be the difference in this ball game to get pressure on Callison on a consistent basis so you guys can play coverage as opposed to trying to just bring heat all the time and get to him? Is that kind of, this is the big week for your D-line to rise up again like they did on Friday night?
Oh, for sure that will be a big thing, a big help for the secondary. I feel like them getting pressure allows us to be able to get a little break, honestly, from it. But then also we're able to give them time to get to the quarterback and be able to get a sack.
Yeah. Well, I know that Jaden Van Pelt did not complete the second half on Saturday, so hopefully he's doing okay. But for the most part, do you guys feel like you're pretty healthy heading into this final couple of weeks? Because at this point, everybody's kind of beat up and bumps and bruises. How do you guys feel, including yourself, having these last 2 games? Do you feel like you're at 100% as a football team, or
I feel like we're at 100%. A couple of bumps and bruises, but I feel like we'll be able to perform our best when it comes to game time.
Yeah. Well, like I said, and I'll switch it back over to you, Eric. Very, very impressive defensive game for you guys on Friday to stop a team that just had scored 38 points against Snider in a game that they thoroughly dominated, and you guys turned the script on them because this was a game that you guys thoroughly dominated from start to finish. So congratulations on that big win, and more importantly, the defense getting the big plays.
Thank you.
Yeah. For you, Lincoln, talk about your football journey. You know, how did it kind of become your sport? You're starting to kind of prosper and make a name for yourself as a junior on that Carroll defense. But to talk to us a little bit about your football journey and where it started for you.
I've always loved football. I started in third grade playing tackle for Charger Youth. I loved it then. I love it now. Middle school, I really loved it then. Made some plays there. Freshman year, didn't get to play as much, but then I got to see the field a lot my sophomore year. Was able to start the second game of the week, and then from there, just took it from there. And then just from there on, I've been just working my butt off and just trying to get better.
Sure. The schedule you guys play, you know, you guys had Cedar Grove and Hamilton Southeastern off the bat. A lot is made of that, at least from the media side of things, on what that schedule, not just for Carroll, but those indie games, Noblesvilles of the world, Westfields, those type of games mean to teams in the SAC. From the player perspective in that locker room, what does those two preseason games before conference games mean for you guys, and really seeing where you guys stack up with some of the big boys across the state of Indiana as the season moves on and getting into conference play?
The games mean a lot. I think HSE has turned into one of our rivals, honestly. I feel like every game we play them, we come with a little extra grit. But those games really set us up to see how we'll do in like playoffs play, because we play 6A and we'll be playing a lot of those indie schools later on in the playoffs, and it'll show us how far we can really go.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's been quite a season for Carroll once again. You guys took those tough losses in the beginning, but have rolled back, and obviously squeaker versus Dwenger and that 9-6 game a few weeks back, but certainly in contention still for the SAC victory bill and holding on to that SAC championship. You guys play the Northrop Bruins on Friday night in a big one out at Spooler Stadium with a lot on the line. Lincoln, thanks so much for joining us tonight here on Upon Further Review. Best of luck to you and the Chargers the rest of the season.
Thanks so much for having me.
Good luck, Lincoln.
Absolutely. That was Lincoln Grabner. That's how he pronounces it. I did check before the show. Grabner. He pronounces it Grabner. Great to have him on tonight. And Coach, that defense, I mean, I showed the graphic. Yes, you play Hamilton Southeastern and Cedar Grove. They're going to put up some points and put up some yardage. But in SAC play, 36 points allowed. Being able to stop the run, only allowing 239 yards a game against some high-powered offenses. As much has been made about the offense, this defense is really playing well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've kind of said that going into this year, or at least, I can't remember the conversation, but I think it was something to the point that was going to be their strength early on, and they were going to have to rely heavily on the defense to help the offense out as they got themselves acclimated, and Freisinger and who was going to be the running backs and things of that nature. And of course they had Jaden and Ballman and Sheely at the wide receiver spot, so those three kids are weapons, so they're just hitting it on all cylinders right now. And when you dominate an opponent like they did Friday, plus gaining 2 pick six and a defense that was just lights out, I was very impressed with their game Friday night, to the point where they may be playing, of the teams we've seen, playing the best football on both sides right now. Because haven't seen Northrop. We've seen Dwenger, and Dwenger's biggest problem this year, again, is offensively. They just haven't been able to muster enough to help the defense, not having to throw, shutouts or holding teams to, like they did against Carroll. I mean, that's how they won against Carroll. They muddied the waters and kept it close and had some big stops, shortened the game, and that's how they won. But Yeah, Carroll's going to be a tough team to beat heading into these last couple weeks. Although I'm anxious to see this Bruin team because they've done nothing all year but light it up, and their defense, considering what they had defensively a year ago, and they flipped the script defensively. It's going to be a heck of a matchup out at Spooler Stadium, and that place, if it's not packed on Friday night, it'll be a crying shame because these two teams, it's going to be a fun football game.
Absolutely. And I think what Northrop has been able to do too is kind of answered those bells. I mean, on the positive side of things. And we say answer the bell, that's almost when you get knocked down and get back up. But ultimately, I mean, they did have that against Homestead. I mean, they lost that shootout early on. And they were able to respond, and they were able to beat Dwanger, and they were able to keep things going and finally conquer Snider. And now they're moving on to that next step. So that's what's been fun. I think it'll be really interesting to see, can Carroll, we talked about the pick sixes and everything that they were able to do. Can they do the same thing they did to Homestead? Because Homestead and Northrop and even Carroll, the offensive standpoint is very similar. It is a very pass or heavy offense that the running game has come along. And for Carroll, I mean, Asher Wagner, we're 10 minutes in, 20 minutes into the show, first time mentioned him, his big 2 touchdown runs. So they're establishing the run game at Carroll now too,
right,
as is Northrop in different ways. And so there's a lot of ways that both of these teams can beat you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that Carroll's going to have trouble with Friday is going to be Guilford and then Wall, right? Because they're not going to be able to say, okay, we're just going to double Guilford. You're going to get, then you're putting somebody one-on-one with the other, So this game is going to be coming down to who can stop the big play.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a huge game. And it could come down to one big play. That's certainly the marquee matchup in the SAC on Friday night, one of the biggest games in the area, one of the biggest games in the history of Northrop High School for sure. And it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out. Spooler Stadium will be a buzz on Friday night, so that will be a big one with big SAC implications. Well, we're going to go ahead and step out and take a break right now. When we come back, we'll have more here on Upon Further Review. We'll look at some of the matchups down the line and another big win for an area team that we don't often talk so much about here on the show, but we'll be glad to do that here coming up on the other side of the break right here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Welcome back to Upon Further Review here on Wednesday night on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM. Also on our YouTube page, our Facebook page, X, you can find us. Also Instagram, we put a lot of the clips on the show out. So go ahead and follow us on social media. And we also do on-demand audio podcasts wherever you find yours. And it's here on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Well, Coach, a lot of surprises we talked about earlier in the show on Friday night with Carroll dominating Homestead, Northrop, not so much a surprise, but just getting over the hump. But another one that popped up when I was doing the Kester's postgame show right here on 1380 The Fan last Friday was Blackhawk Christian's big win, a 66-0 victory over Irvington Prep Academy out of Indianapolis. And that's significant in a couple of ways because, first of all, Blackhawk Christian finally getting a victory again. They've been hard to come by in a relatively new program, and I think year 3. But 66, that's the most points they've ever scored. First time they've ever had a shutout, and a pretty strong performance from their running back, Chip Bennett. And in fact, tonight, we're thrilled to be joined by him here on our show. Pleased to be joined and bring in Chip Bennett, the running back and linebacker for Blackhawk Christian. Chip, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Yeah, well, talk about Friday night, first of all. The win on Friday, A dominant win. We talked about dominance for what we saw from Carroll. The Blackhawk Christian getting a big win on Friday night, just across the board, 66-0. Something we haven't seen out of this Blackhawk team yet. The excitement that you guys experienced on Friday night.
Yeah, so before the game even started, like, we were all really hyped up. We were all ready. We knew we had a good shot. This is one of the teams where we could beat. Like, we knew it. And so before the game, we're in the locker room. We're just all getting hyped up. We're all super happy. We're all, like, cheering each other on, telling each other we got it, not to give up. We get onto the field, and I think we really stepped it up to this game. We got our assignments done. Everybody did their job, and we really just worked as a team.
Sure.
Really, really worked together.
Absolutely. Well, and the success you had too. I think 3 touchdowns on the ground, 215 yards, and on defense, an interception. A breakout night for you. I mean, just talk about what you were able to accomplish and just putting it all together, and a big night for you and your entire team, putting it all together.
This past week, I've been working really hard, making sure I was getting low, getting down when I'm running, getting my shoulder into people. The past couple games, I've been running a little up and down. I've been a little easy to take down too. So I've been working on just getting my shoulder low, going hard, keeping my feet moving. And for that interception, I told my friends, I was like, my safety, Dylan, I was like, I'm going to go for that ball. So if I miss, you got to hit the guy he's throwing to. And first play they threw that, I took it out. So luckily he didn't have to go chase that guy down. But yeah, definitely the 3 touchdowns, I was running hard. I remember it was a little difficult, but my line, they definitely opened up slots for me. Holes everywhere, big holes, good cutback lanes, really helped me out.
Sure. What is this? Year 3 for Blackhawk Christian football in 11-man now. Yeah, I believe you get basically halfway through your 3rd year. What's this experience been like? I mean, you're a sophomore? Yeah, junior. Your brother just graduated. Your dad's the coach. You got another brother, Orion. So Gage graduated. Bryce, your dad, is the coach. Orion's a freshman. You're the junior on the team. The Bennetts have really kind of been the building blocks of this team, and other players for sure. What has been building this program like? I know it's been tough to go out, and you're learning a lot, but what has this experience been like for Blackhawk Christian to have football, 11-man football now, playing in the IHSAA on Friday nights?
It's been a little rough, especially starting out. Like, obviously, we're not going to win a lot, and usually people, like, they want to be on a team that's going to win. So if you're not winning a lot, not really many people are going to want to come play. It's hard to get other people out. But I know last year our seniors, they had a big impact, and everybody after seeing that, we actually brought in like 2 or 3 new seniors this year to play for their last year, and they've helped us a lot. It's been a little difficult, like with the culture of Blackhawk not being anywhere, or like I guess about football, like anywhere close to being about football.
It's new. Football is completely new there. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little difficult trying to get people to believe in us, but I think we're really starting to turn it around. Get our school to really believe in us this year. I think next year we'll definitely have them believing in us a little bit.
Yeah, Chip, talk about the growth there at Blackhawk, because you guys initially had a team that I guess was what you call 8-man football, correct? Yep. What led to them jumping all the way to a true 11-man roster? And are you guys going to get into a conference here within the next year or two?
We really kicked the brakes off a lot of teams in 8-man. And for my dad, he knew we could do it. Like, he saw us in 8-man. He didn't know how it would go. He knew first year, probably not going to be that good. But then 8-man, we had a lot of players come out. We did good. We made a good game, made good games, I guess, for people to watch. Made it fun, and so gave him a little hope. I'm guessing my dad,
mythical state champs too, right? They say mythical 8-man state champs, and then right into the frying pan a year later with the 11-man. That's pretty cool. We mentioned it, the family aspect. What does football mean to the Bennett family? I mean, we've had your dad on the show, great guy, pretty soft spoken, but I've been out to practice and he gets fired up with the best of them. What does the football mean in the Bennett household?
It's a lot. It's like almost everything every year. First, all summer long, first quarter of school, all football. Like everything, we got to schedule around football. Football is everything for me and my brothers. Like that's all we really talk about, and it's really fun for us. I feel like me and my older brother, before he graduated, it really helped me like get closer to him, being in the backfield with him. And I'm hoping it happens with me and my younger brother, because me and him are really close. Now that we're playing football on the same team, I'm really like helping him out, trying to like help him learn, help him get better, so that someday he can surpass me.
There you go. Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, it was a historic Friday night for Blackhawk Christian, getting the win. I think another thing that we said is I think this is the first time Blackhawk Christian has won 2 games, more than 1 game in the same season. So you guys continue to progress, and I think part of that is the competition that you play and getting in there and getting out, and your dad is always been a big proponent. He was ready. I'm telling you right now, I remember there was some issues with some of the teams, and one of the teams, they were worried about having enough players. This is not Blackhawk Christian, but this is a couple years ago. I can't even remember what the entire scenario was, but he was like, he was ready to go play Adams Central in the sectional first round. If you guys were like on probationary status, which not a bad thing. That was, you hadn't gotten full membership in the IHSA. He was like, we'll play Adams Central. We know them. I know those guys down there. We could give it a shot. And so that's another big thing I think with Blackhawk Christian and the Bennetts down there, is that you guys are willing to try it and give it your best shot. And I think we're seeing that on Friday nights, and you guys got the big win on Fridays. So thanks so much, Chip, for joining us tonight upon further review. We wanted to highlight Blackhawk Christian and what they were able to do. And of course, you were a big part of that on Friday with 215 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick on defense, and a great showing, historic showing for the Blackhawk Christian Braves. Thanks so much, Chip.
Thank you.
All right. That was Chip Bennett, the junior running back and linebacker at Blackhawk Christian. And Coach, you were a coach.
Mm-hmm.
You were a player. You were a son of a coach. I think, right? Your dad was the first Snider coach, if I'm not mistaken.
Back in the day.
Yeah. That aspect. I mean, we asked it, what's football mean what in the Bennett household?
Yeah.
When you're a coach and a player and it becomes part of your family fabric, what is it? What is it about this game that's so special to families like the Bennetts, family like the Griffiths, family like yours, and Isaac too? Isaac played major football as well. Can't leave out your son, of course. Three generations.
Yeah. Well, I think one is, football has always been a vehicle that has taught a lot of life lessons for not only myself, but the kids that play it, the parents that are involved in it. And I think the one thing he said that kind of stuck with me is, football season, every weekend, it's already taken, with games. And then, of course, high school was Saturday morning workouts and getting, watching the game film and getting planned for the next game, because that's about the only day they have to do it.
And a lot of kids going on recruiting trips too.
Right,
Can't forget that.
Exactly. So, I mean, it is a time-consuming sport. When you really look at it, you get to play 9 games of guaranteed high school football. And, you work so hard through the off season that runs from the day the last game you play is over, all the way through the winter months, through the spring months, and then you get to start, practicing some here and there, and it leads into the summer months and things like that. So when you think about the number of times you practice just to play 9 games, it's not even an equal distribution. You're practicing more than you're playing because that's the type of game it is. So you have a chance to, like he said, he's formed a better relationship with his brother by playing the game. And you get that common bond of playing a game together where you're competing against other teams, and you're doing it with, in his case, his brother. And it means something to them each and every Friday night that their whole family gets to partake in. So it's a game that brings people together. It doesn't matter what your race, belief, or creed are. Everybody is the equal team member in 11-man football, because each and every one of you are depending upon each other. And so I've always felt that is the greatest life lesson or teaching moment there is, because you bring in people from all different walks of life for one commonality to go out and perform and play to win. And that's the thing that I think it ultimately teaches you is how to handle it when you win, but handle it when you lose. So, but I could relate to a lot of what Chip was saying there. And it's a young program. I mean, we're talking a team. This is their first year of 11-man football. I believe.
Third. Yeah. So they're third year. So they did 8-man for a year and jumped immediately to 11.
Man. That's right. Right. Because the last time we talked about it was 8-man.
So they're 4-22 now. So they've played 26 total games.
Okay.
I mean, we talked about Bishop Dwenger. They won their 500th game in school history a couple years back. We talked about the 99th 99th meeting of Southside and Northside the other day. Blackhawk Christian's only at 26 total games in their school's history in 11-man. And look, on top of it, we talked about Coach Bennett. He will take on anybody. Their schedule, they have South Adams this year. They have Bluffton, Monroe Central, Westdell is another team that they play. Fremont. Last year, North Miami, a good team. In fact, this year, their first win of the year was against Southern Wells, which has come on pretty strong here this season. That was their first win. That's another milestone. Their first win in Indiana, because the previous 2 wins, from previous years was from a team out of Ohio. So you just keep moving it forward and getting more things. And I think you look at Blackhawk Christian too, which has become a basketball school because of what they were able to do with a guy like Caleb First. And coming in and they won a couple state championships. They had a Mr. Basketball. They're already up to 3A and have a shot to go to state in 3A now. So it's remarkable to see how Blackhawk Christian as a whole has changed. And I think you've got good leadership. Joel Cotton, their athletic director there, Bryce Bennett, their head coach, and a lot of good basketball coaches. We think of the late, great Mark Davidson. And so they have invest in the kids and invest in athletics and are trying new things. And it's hard. It's hard to when you already have a football program in place and come in as a new head coach. Imagine. I mean, I can only imagine have you ever been in a situation that started a program?
No, I've never started a program from the ground up. And it's a lot of time. I mean, I respect what Coach Bennett's done there, because it's not easy to do, because he's doing everything from probably lining the field to washing uniforms, and at the same time trying to recruit kids out of the hallways to get them to play some football. Yeah. So it's not an easy task.
Yeah. And another component in that is that Blackhawk Christian had been playing their home games at Bowser Field at Snider. Of course, the renovations going on there. They've been playing out at Zollner Stadium, it looks like, by some of the pictures and things I've seen. So I think maybe one time they did do one on the playing the soccer field out at Blackhawk. But, that'll be interesting to see how that takes off if they get things going. But, really cool story. And there's a little bit of the feature aspect of it. It's not just, yes, Blackhawk Christian has football, and they've kind of taken it on the chin to start, but also they're building, they're trying, and the family aspect with the Bennett's running things there, and so many other players that that will benefit from playing high school football at Blackhawk Christian. So thanks to Chip Bennett. Best of luck to the Braves the rest of the year and what they've been able to do. And I'm sure we'll be hearing more from them. Well, we're going to step out and take another commercial break. When we come back here on Upon Further Review, we'll look at that big Friday night's week of action. Not just the SAC, Coach, a big one in the ACAC, some kind of big ones in the NEA. We'll talk about all of that next here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to Upon Further Review here on Wednesday night. And we just got done talking with Chip Bennett from Blackhawk Christian High School. And we talked about all the things involved with starting a program, which is pretty fascinating. But for them to get the big win like they did, I know that's exciting for them and the kids because they work just as hard as the team at Northrop or at Carroll, no matter where they're at. They're putting in the time, the effort, the energy. And it's good to see kids get rewarded for that on a Friday night. But like you said, Eric, we've got some games just to peek at, go over, and talk about here because we went through rivalry week in the SAC. Now we're heading into the championship weeks, not only in the SEC, NE8, ACC, as we head down to, believe it or not, the end of the season and categorically looking at the first round of sectionals here within the next 3 weeks. That's even crazier to think that way. So games Friday night, it was like we talked, our game was a dominant game, the Snider game at Northrop too. But that battle for the Bishops, the battle between the Bishops too, started out like a tough game. And then Dwenger kind of got themselves rolling, pulled away. But that game never fails to deliver in terms of tough, hard-nosed football between the two Bishops here in the Fort Wayne area.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been a big rivalry week, partially because usually, generally, and including this season even too, there are SAC implications in that game. To have Dwenger and Lures play, of course, they're in different divisions, but they keep – the nice thing too about the new divisions or, year 3 of the new divisions is that the fact that they keep some of those traditional rivalries. So you're still going to get Dwenger and Lures every year. You may not get Dwenger and Southside, but you're going to get Dwenger and Lures. And so that's pretty cool. Northside, and well, they're in the same division, but I think, that's a big part of being able to do some of those big rivalry games and those crossovers. They rotate because Snider and Lures is a rivalry too that we hadn't been able to see in 2 years. And realistically, that played a big role in the SAC standings as Snider got that victory a couple of weeks back. But yeah, ultimately another big win for Bishop Dwenger. Their defense, continues to look strong. They bounced back from that loss to Northrop, hold Lures to 7 points. And ultimately in the conference, they've only given up 37. So we talk about Dwenger's defense, Carroll's defense. We could talk about Dwenger's defense, which we have all year. 55 on the year, 37 versus in the SAC. And they're still in the hunt, and they're going to be watching on Friday night to see how things shake out with. Though their game will be going on at the same time, but it's going to be, I'm sure that there will be people keeping abreast of the situation. Oh, yeah. In that, whether they tell the kids or not. And how do you deal with that, Coach? That's a good question. You're a coach. The clock watching or the scoreboard watching at other games. From a staff to players to yourself, what is the mindset when you're a coach and you have other games going on that impact your potential to be a champion?
Well, number one, it doesn't matter. Don't care. Okay. Don't want to hear what the score. Don't want to hear what the score is. Don't want the kids to hear it because the main thing is the game that you're playing. Because when you have control of your destiny, it doesn't matter what else is going on around you until after the game. And then you can find out where you sit. But anytime that you start piping in a score and all of a sudden you find out that the team that you want to get beat is winning quite handedly, it can have a negative impact on
That's
the
true.
psychological approach of your kids. So what you don't want to do in games is bring in unnecessary noise. You want everything to be a focal on the game on the field. And so, again, that's what Dwanger's going to do. They're going to worry about themselves and themselves alone and let the chips fall where they may. And that's the best thing for them to do. And like
so
you said,
so far, nobody in the SAC has 100-foot video boards where they can show streams and things yet. I mean, Carroll's is pretty nice. Dwanger's is decent as well. But anyway, I think that's the point is you got to take care of your own business.
You got to take
first.
it. Yeah, right.
And everybody's playing at the same time. It's not like anybody's playing on Saturday and anyway. So but we'll go ahead and pull up this schedule of games for this Friday night as we move to week 8. We've touched a lot on Carroll and Northrop tonight and Dwanger, but Dwanger goes to Snider. It's not at Snider. I'm sorry. It's Snider because Snider at Dwanger at Shields Field, taking care of business. I mean, it's still Snider.
Yeah.
And that's the other side. And it's a down year. It was a down week. It's been down a couple weeks. But Snider gets up for this Dwanger game too.
Well, you're looking at basically two defenses with Dwanger and Snider being the strength of their team per se. Now Snider offensively, they're going to have to figure out a way to run the football because I don't think Dwanger is going to allow them too much opportunity there. So that's going to be a tough game, but you're correct. This is another, in theory, rivalry game for Snider and Dwanger because it's been a big game throughout the years because even back in the 80s, these two teams would always be at the top of the heap and playing to win a championship. And these games were always big on the schedule for either team. And that's no different this Friday night because it'll be a big game for both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking back at that Snider Northrop game, just really quickly, Snider finally, 206 yards rushing. So they finally got things going. Braylon Burton got some touchdown run. He was kind of led the way in the rushing. 71 yards. And so it's good to see him back in the fold and playing. We hadn't seen him yet this season. So ultimately,
they missed him.
Yeah. And he's back now, but really it kind of is that running back by committee because Jordan Davis, -1 rushing yards on 1 attempt. And Tongue, the kicker, 42. Now that might have been a fake play, but Raines is coming to the mix now so Snider's definitely in that mixing it up stage because they had Johnson at quarterback and things like that. So I think for Snider, it still continues to be the defense. You got to rely really heavily on your defense, guys like Fertiel and those kind of guys, Raines on the defensive side of the ball. But ultimately, it looked promising that they got some offense, even in a loss, 200 rush yards. But yeah, their defense, 398 yards for Northrop last week, 309 through the air. So we won't see 309, I don't think, out of Dwanger's passing game.
No.
And that might help Snider too, because they know it's a run heavy offense and it's going to be a challenge to stop the run. And that's something that Snider, I think, can do better than what they were matched up against Northrop and Carroll and those type of situations and Homestead, where they just get blown out of the water through the air.
Right. No, I totally agree. Totally agree with that.
Absolutely. Another game in the SAC, an interdivisional game is Northside heading to Homestead. And, two teams with 2 losses in the conference. Really solid years for both of these teams. They're back a bit in the pack a little bit on the SAC race, but I think Northside probably comes in with the way that Jaden Rivers has been playing at quarterback, that they feel they probably got a good shot. They saw what Northrop was able to do, and I think Northside
and Carroll,
with the strong quarterback play and the playmakers like Malik Moore and Sebastian Moore that Jaden Rivers has to throw to at Northside, I think that's a good opportunity for Northside. And Homestead, they've got, I mean, this is probably another coaching question for you. You go and beat Snider 38-0 and come back and lose to Homestead 49-0. Like, what fork in the road do you take in a situation like that, Coach, for heading into a home game against Northside?
Well, the best thing is you get another game to prepare for. It's not something that's lingering in the off season from that standpoint. I'm sure they're doing some regrouping because of they just didn't play as well as they had the previous week, and maybe they thought they had arrived as a football team, and forgot the little things that cost them Saturday, turnovers and giving up big plays, because that's what killed them.
Yeah,
they gave up too many big plays, and that's going to be the thing against Northside that they're going to have to defend. Probably the best or one of the best quarterbacks within the Summit Athletic Conference, Rivers, that likes to throw it around. And if Homestead continues to give up the big play, they're going to find themselves behind the 8 ball again. So they're going to have to find ways to shorten this game on Friday, because I don't think they win in a shootout. I don't necessarily think that's in their favor. They're going to have to win in a game that they can control the clock and keep Rivers on the sideline.
Sure. And Rivers now over 2,000 yards passing on the season through 7 weeks. We enter week 8, 70% on completions. So
is he a senior?
Yes, he's a senior and came from Warren Central.
Yeah, I knew that, but I just didn't know.
He's a senior. And so this is the 1 year we'll get to see him. And man, it's almost wild too, the numbers he's put up and the playmakers that they have, that they're sitting at 4-2 in the conference, but
well, I just don't understand. Well, here's a kid that's lighting it up as a senior. Somebody's going to get a good quarterback at a 1AA school or high Division II school, because I don't care who you are, when you complete 70% of your passes and you're throwing for 2,000 yards, that is darn good no matter how you slice it up. So that kid has got some special talents, and I'm surprised. I won't be surprised if somebody comes in and gives him an offer of some sort, because you just can't do that and not get recognized.
Absolutely. And I know he's gotten some national attention in the last couple of weeks. This one page, one of the top quarterbacks in the nation, top 15. So, just recognizing him and what he's been able to do. And, that's pretty good. Ranked at number 9 on this particular national watch list. And I think for him, he probably already had a little bit more higher profile coming out of the Indianapolis area, playing for a team like Warren Central that wins a lot of games, that has a lot of successes. And I think that's one thing. We talked to him. He was cool, calm, and collected. And he knew what he wanted to say, and he knew what he wanted to do, and he's gone out and done it, because when you get in programs like that, that helps. And I think that's going to help Northside going on there. Over on the south end of town, we have Wayne at Bishop Luers. Luers looks to rebound from the loss. Wayne has not won this year. The interesting matchup for this part of it is that Darian White, head coach of Wayne, longtime assistant at Luers, the White brothers, who are now playing at Wayne, played on the state championship teams out at Luers. So a bit of a homecoming there, but I think Luers has a good shot here of taking this game. But it will be a good one for these two teams out Friday night.
Yeah, but I'm more importantly want to talk about Southside at Concordia, because the Archers beat the Generals this past week, and
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, they're getting their chance now to play Concordia, and that's going to be a big game for them, because I think too they've got to go into these last few weeks trying to play their best football, and I think they've done that this year, and it's good to see them have some success, because they have, they've had some tough games, they've had some really tough games, and they lost, like you said, this past week to Northside in the totem pole game, but they've had some success, and it'll be a good game for them against Concordia.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, something we didn't mention with all the surprises, and there again, not necessarily a surprise, Concordia picked up its first win, snaps a 14-game losing streak. That dates back to 2022. So Concordia, congrats with their win over Wayne a week ago. So they get to win a winnable game for both of these teams. And I think that, it's probably going to be a good week of practice for both of these schools because they look at it as we can win both of them. We can win this game. And Concordia got that first win that they've haven't had in a while. So that's a big one. We move over to some of the other games in the area. And before we get to the NE8, I think I wanted to bring in the ACAC game because this is another game that could get top billing in the state of Indiana, really, when it comes down to it. One of not just our area, but one of the top games in the state. Bluffton travels to Adams Central for what will be the ACAC championship, Coach. A huge game on Friday night between these two teams once again.
Yeah, and this one, this may be the year to a degree that Bluffton gets Adams Central. We had Best on it last week. Or was it last week? I can't remember. They're all running together.
Quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, and, they just beat Heritage 35-0. So for them, they're rolling right now. So this should be a dandy of a ball game on Friday night from that perspective. And it'll be interesting to see how it all comes out because of Bluffton playing pretty darn good football right now.
Yeah, well, and part of it with Bluffton is their offensive scoring power and what they've been able to do. They're averaging over 40 points a game as Bluffton. And their defense pretty stout too, 13-point games. But comparatively, if you look back at some like last year, Bluffton, really good season, only averaged less than 30 points a game, 30 the year before when they get to a regional. And so on top of what they've already been able to do, they're adding on the points. And so at some point that becomes the question because we always talk about it's Adams Central's conference until they get beat and who's going to be the team to beat them. And it may be just that one team 1 year outlier and they go back to winning it all again. But ultimately for Bluffton, yeah, to your point, this may be the team in the sense that Bluffton's been close and now they've got that added layer of with Axton Best and Agent Travel, some of those weapons, they're able to add like another 10 points on top of it. Can Adams Central slow down Bluffton? It's always been, can somebody slow down Adams Central? Does Adams Central have what it takes to slow down a high-powered offense like Bluffton? So that will be a fun one. It always is a big one. And the shops will be closing early in Monroe or downtown. But that's a fun one over in the ACAC. Can't wait to see that one, how that shapes out. Also, too, New Haven at East Noble, Columbia City at Leo. Basically, East Noble in control of its own destiny against New Haven and Belmont to close. So I think they get that easily. But Columbia City, Leo should be a fun one, Coach. That's always fun one as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game against two teams that surely do like to run the football. And Leo is always going to be a tough task with Nathan Foster. So that'll be another good rivalry game. And then, of course, West Noble at Busco, another
Battle of the
game.
NECC champs. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Clash of the champions.
Big time.
All right. Well,
big time game there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're about out of time here tonight on Upon Further Review. So we're going to head out of here. But we want to thank our guest tonight, Chip Bennett from Blackhawk Christian. Also from Carroll, LinLinkoln Grabner. Great show tonight. Great talking to you. Coach, we'll see you on Friday night as big games all across the area.
That's right. We'll be there. And you be right with us, too, on Friday night at 6 o'clock for the pregame show. But for now, he's Eric Dukevich. I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith. This has been Upon Further Review right here on 1380 The Fan, 100.9 FM.